So here it is, what we did till now. We looked into Docker. We looked into Docker versus virtual machines. We looked into installing Docker. We looked into running Docker in Windows mode, right? We also looked into how to go and create a simple Docker file and run an ASP.NET Core application. We looked into Docker build to create the image. We looked into Docker run to create the image, right? And then the next step, what we did yesterday is that we used IIS. We installed IIS inside Docker to run a simple HTML page. And then we also saw that how we can go ahead and create a custom directory with IIS and enable. So rather than using www-root, we can create a directory and make it IIS enabled, right? Today, our goal is that we want to host a ASP.NET Core application inside IIS. Please note the difference between this lab, the lab out here, and this lab is that over here in the ASP.NET Core was running in Kestrel. And here the ASP.NET Core is going to run inside IIS, and that increases the complication. Okay. But before we do that, right, I want to go and revise this multi-stage build. Do you guys remember the multi-stage concept? Please let me know. Because I got 6 or 7 emails, and today that's why I wanted to just take the multi-stage concept once again. Okay. So I can see some of them saying no, some of them saying yes. Okay. Guys, I'll just iterate that multi-stage concept, just in case, because if you look at the IIS code we have, it will take 2-3 minutes to iterate. That IIS code is quite complex, so this is the IIS code with .NET Core, the Docker file. It is quite complex out here. And it uses, it uses a lot of multi-staging out here, right? So let me go and explain that, so that this file will be very easy to understand, right? So here it is. I have a very, very simple Docker file. You can see I have a very, very simple Docker file out here. Normally, there are let me make 2-3 sentences. First one, in the final Docker, we don't want unnecessary things to be installed. Means what? For example, you can see here, this is the first stage, where we do the build. Then in the second stage, we go and run the runtime. Now we don't want this SDK in the final Docker. For example, probably you will install some Visual Studio tools. You will go ahead and install IIS admin must be, I don't know, some kind of tools you will install. But whatever you do in the build time, you don't want, those things to be accumulated inside your it should be there inside in the final image, right? It should not be there in the final image, right? So that's why what Docker does is Docker actually has a concept of multi-staging. So in multi-staging, what happens is this is the thing which happens. Let me put up right. So in multi-staging, this is what will happen. Let me create a screen, print screen. Sorry. Okay. So here you can see we have 2 stages. Please understand. Okay. You can see I have 2 stages here. How we'll say, sir, how it is a stage? Wherever you use this word as build and as runtime, that means it's a stage. So this is stage 1 and this is stage 2. Right. And I like the concept of stages because it helps you to divide your Docker file into logical sections, right? So what is happening in stage 1? Look at this is stage 1 out here. In stage 1, you are installing the SDK. You are doing a build. Remember, this name is not, it is not a reserved keyword. You can say your build 1, 2, 3 also. So this is a stage, this is the name which you have given, okay? And this is the runtime name, right? So here you are doing SDK, here you are doing runtime, right? So what happens inside a Docker file? Inside the Docker, he will first create an image. So for the stage 1, so this is stage 1. He will install this build, right? At this moment, I'm not doing any build over here, but think about it that let's say you do a build, you do a .NET publish, all that you will do out here, right? So it will create some folders. So for now, what I'm doing is I'm just saying, create a directory called as ctest. So what will happen is inside this, there will be a directory created ctest. Right. And you can see here what I'm doing is you can see this command here, run make directory, right? This will help you to go and create a directory. And you can see I'm also saying run directory so that I can see the directory of that stage. So of that stage, I will see all the directory, right? Then what happens? Stage 2 starts. Now, stage 2 does not have any connection as such with stage 1 directly. Please understand this. So this stage 2, you can think about it's like a separate image, right? So in other words, now you must be thinking, oh, like I created C test and I should be able to get it out here. You will not get it because all of these stages are like decoupled. If you want to get it, there is a way to get it, right? So you have to use something to refer it out here, a copy command or something. We'll look into that, right? But if I run this small file out here, what will happen? In the first stage, I will get a directory where I will see C test. And when I run the second stage runtime, I won't get the C test. I hope this is very, very important to understand. So if you see here, look at it. So I'll go and run this command, right? So I'll just say, clear the screen and let us try to run the command. I'll just run it with any name out here. You can see I'm using -- no cache equal to true because with that, any kind of caching which happens inside the image is not taken. So for example, if I build an image prior to this, the Docker tries to use the cache. So I'm saying that don't use the cached images, right? So if I run this, you will see now this command has run make directory and it runs the directory. It will run the directory command 2 times. First for stage 1, you can see that is for stage 1. And then you can see that is for stage 2. Very important. Look at it. If you see here, what you see in the command prompt, this is the build stage. And in the build stage, you can see he has created the test. Please note everyone, I'm trying to go slow. In the build stage, he has created a test, but look at it when it runs this runtime stage out here, there is no test. Did everyone understand this? Very important this is. The build happens in stages. Please comment out there if you have understood it. The build happens in stages, and in stages, the previous, why can't I go there? I wanted to go to that image. It's not coming up. It is there. Why is that image? Fine. So what I mean to say is, just please comment that, the whatever is there, whatever directories are created in stage 1, it will not go to stage 2 or like whatever, right? Now, if you want to do that, then if you remember the command which we fired, then we have to use -- from build. Look at this. So over here, the change, what I have to do out here is just to make that thing run. So what I'll do is I'll remove this image from here so that I can run the command very easily. Remember, guys, these are concepts. What people do now, they take up a Docker file from the hub, they try to run it, and if it does not work, they again try to run it, and they keep running it, and do nothing, right? So you need to understand the concept. So here you can see now, if I want that top directory down, I have to say, look at this. -- from the build, this is the name, from the build, copy C test, copy whatever is in C test, right? Over here into C test or C test 1, 2, 3. Look at this. Very, I hope this. So it is saying that from the build, let me again refer the command. Let me just see once the command, if it is right. Yeah, this copy is needed. That's asking where is the copy command? You need a copy command, right? So copy from the build stage, refer that C directory, C test directory, and copy it in the current directory as C test 1, 2, 3. So what will happen now? When I run this directory, I will see C test here. When I run this directory, I will see C test 1, 2, 3. Okay, let us check this. Multi-stage concept, very important. So you can see, and again, very quickly, guys, you can see that, the SDK 3.1 is not getting installed again and again. I've just made it sure that it is there loaded. Okay. What happened? file does not exist. Why? Copy from build. Well, I shouldn't be giving the path like that. The path should be like, I shouldn't give like the path as the absolute path. I have to just say here, copy from test. I hope this is the right command. Right, just /test. So sorry for the /test. Right, to /test 1, 2, 3. Right. What is happening is, it is created inside C drive only, but this copy command does not take an absolute directory. You have to say .. or .. right? So let me run again. Right. So run directory, that is the C test created. And in the second one, I'm expecting, what is wrong here? So sad this is. Shouldn't it? Actually, what, over here, this, I think this working directory is not present, that's why it is. Why is it? Let me see my file. So sad. I came so much prepared, That's okay. Oh, that command, I did not put it here. The copy command, which was successful. So here, I think something is wrong in the. Why is he not referring this? I have not created a directory called as make directory, but that should not matter. Guys, let me run this once. Okay. It's the absolute path, which is a problem. Okay, I can do like this. Let me create a directory here called as test 1, 2, 3. I don't know. I was expecting him to create a directory as well. It did not. Let me try this. So I'm trying to create a directory and then copying it. If I just say copy, it should have copied it. It should have just copied that into that directory, but I don't know why. Okay, now I made the directory. And now if I say copy, at least do it. Why is it not? Oi. Copy from command, syntax error. Everybody's there in the chat. I'm in my own mood, actually. So sorry. I should take your. Okay. Hang on. This is so bad. Is it my syntax is not right? From build. Isn't that right? From build --. Why is it not? Oh. In test, files are missing. Yeah, that is also there. In the test, the files are also missing. You are right. Yep, actually, that one is the true hyphen. The another one is also the files are missing in test. But fine, if it does not have anything, right? At least just copy empty, right? So how does it matter? But that hyphen was a problem. I'm so sorry, guys. And you know what? I don't have to do the make directory. I'm sure on that. That hyphen was a problem. Yes. Yeah. So sorry for wasting everyone's time out here. And you know what? He's not giving me good errors, right? He should tell me, isn't it like your hyphen is wrong or something? See, but the point is, you can see now there is a test 1, 2, 3 out here. I'm so sorry for that mistake. And at the top, we have test, right? So if you want to go and remember, again, like you don't have to do make directory. It must be, if you just try to remove the make directory, it should work. Like this does not do that demo. This will do that demo, right? If you just say remove the make directory, it will copy the empty test and put it into test 1, 2, 3. Nothing will be copied, but it will create that folder. The point is that if you want to go and pass the directories, right, you have to use the copy command from every stage to another stage, right? So that is a multi-stage concept, right? Now let us go ahead, guys, and let us look into the IIS installation, right? So that was one part. Now here, this is the IIS installation. Now, please, what are we trying to install here? We are going to try to install this ASP.NET Core application. So if you remember, this was our ASP.NET Core application, and we are trying to install, we'll be trying to install this into IIS. So we'll not be using Kestrel to run it. Okay. Now, this is how the typical file looks like. I'll just explain this file and then we will try to run that file. Okay. So let us try to remember here, when you see the source code, right, you will see concept of layers. So this is the code, right? The Docker file. Then you will say, okay, IIS, simple IIS hosting. Then you can see the Docker file. So every demo I've done, right, I've tried to create a snapshot of the Docker file, right? So here's a Docker file. So now this is the simple Docker, right, with Kestrel, but we want with .NET Core. With .NET Core and IIS. Now look at this command out here. Remember, first thing, if you say you want to install ASP.NET Core into IIS, what things you have to do? Try to understand. Let me write down the steps, right? So point number one, first, what you will do out here is you have to install IIS, or I will say enable IIS, right? Enable IIS into your Windows server, right? Now, normally what happens is, if you're installing, if you have a Windows server, right, a Windows Server core, normally IIS is installed inside it, okay? But in case not, then you have to enable IIS. So either the IIS is enabled by default or you have to enable it, whatever, right? So this is the first step. Remember, in Windows Server, if you say Windows Server with IIS, for example, you can see here I'm saying use the Windows Server core with IIS, then IIS is enabled by default. Now, if not, then we have to run the PowerShell command. Once the IIS is installed, right, we have to enable ASP.NET 4.5, right? I'm just writing down the steps here. Enable ASP.NET 4.5, right? 4.5 or 4.8, whatever, right? Now, again, you don't have to enable, you have to enable 4.5, even if you have the new MVC Core, right? If you're doing, okay, if you're doing .NET Core 6 or .NET Core above 4, .NET Core 5, then this step is not needed. I guess so. Huh? Next thing, now this installation, what I'm showing here, I'm showing for .NET Core MVC Core 3, .NET Core 3. In case of .NET Core 3, right, you also have to install the Windows Hosting Bundler. Hosting Bundler. I hope everybody who has done a little bit of IIS installation, these steps are understood, right? So you will enable the Hosting Bundler. Once the Hosting Bundler is enabled, then you can go and you can create a website, right? And point that website to the to that build, right? So like you go and you create a virtual directory and then you point to the build, right? So these are the broader steps, right? And this is what exactly I've done here. So look at this file here. First thing, this is the first stage, and this I've already explained in the last classes. What this does, this is a build stage. We copy the solution file, we do a .NET restore, we do a .NET publish, and in this stage, it goes into the output directory, okay? Build stage. In the build stage, here in the out directory, our compiled DLLs are there. The second stage I've given as a runtime. So in the runtime stage, what I'm doing, I'm installing 3.1. Look at this here, we have SDK 3.2, right? I'm installing IIS as well, right, in this. And now you can see I'm starting PowerShell. Because the time you say you want to go and enable 4.5, you want to enable this and that, right? You have to start PowerShell. And you can see here, very important, I've started PowerShell and I've said that this should be silent. I mean, like, there should be no interaction. For example, if there is a pop-up coming up, like some error or something, just silently continue it. You can see progress reference, continue. Don't stop out here and so on, right? So that's the PowerShell command I've started. And you can see after that, I have, so this step is this installing of the IIS. This step out here is enabling the ASP.NET 5 features. So this is the IIS command. I can say a PowerShell command. This install feature is nothing but Windows feature is nothing but it is a PowerShell commandlet. And it says that go and enable 4.5. Okay. In case if there is 4.8, we will enable 4.8. Okay. After that, we need the hosting bundler. You can see this step out here, this add step where I'm saying download the hosting bundler from this website, right? And store it in the local directory as hosting.exe and run that hosting.exe. Remember, first you have to install IIS and then you have to install the hosting bundler. See, understand the steps. If you don't understand the steps, right, what will happen is it will be very difficult, to configure something if you want to change it, right? So this step is doing this one. And the last one, right, and you can see out here, I'm copying from the build, I'm copying this into the C:MVC core, this output. Remember, the output, what was thrown out here, I'm copying it out here from the build. From this stage, I've referred it, right? And then I'm saying, now this is very interesting. You can see this command out here, import web administration. This web administration actually goes and installs IIS admin, inet mgr. So I've just installed it in case if I want to go and remember, don't unnecessarily install this. If you really need it, then only install it. Or else your final image can become very heavy. For example, in this, if I see, I should write one code which will delete this Windows exe from here, the hosting exe, because it is just adding more to that final image, right? So just make sure that try to create, the final build, try to create as lightweight as possible. Okay. So you can see this is installing the web admin, which is not necessary, I guess, right? So then you say remove website, remove the default website. And finally, this folder, where this MVC Core app is copied, you go ahead and you enable that website. There it is. So you can see all these steps out here. If you try to follow logically, right, you will use the from commands to install the runtime. If you have any kind of setup to be run, you will go for PowerShell, like add command. You can see for PowerShell, right? And you have to remember the concept of multi-staging copy, like copy from this and so on, right? So if you ask me, when you say you want to go and write a complex Docker file, what you have to know is that what you need to install, right? Plus PowerShell commands, right? And plus the concept of multi-staging. If you know this much, right, you can go and you can install any kind of Docker file. You can go ahead and customize it, right? So guys, any question on this Docker file first thing? Any queries on the Docker file? Yes. Let me. Right. Can we change the physical directory from C to E, right? See, you have to add a volume to that. So we'll come to that. A good question from Amit here. We'll see this in the forthcoming classes, right? That how we can go ahead and that C drive or whatever is there, how we can go and map to our local drive, how we can go and change files, because we want to take control of Docker, right? So the question here is that can we go and add a E drive? Yes, but you have to do it. So by default, there is no E drive, but we need to go ahead and do that, right? Why shell command in picture? Let us see. Okay, let us try to understand. Why shell command in picture not possible? Why shell command in picture not possible in Docker file? I did not get this. If your question is that, what does this shell command do? See, okay. See, by default, right? By default, Docker, whenever Docker starts, right, it runs in a command prompt like this, CMD, like this. In this, you cannot fire PowerShell commands. To fire PowerShell, you have to go into the PowerShell mode, like this. Now, this is you can see, this is a C drive out here, right? And this is a PowerShell. So what happens is by default, when you're doing this copy and this all things, right, you are actually running in that top one, the normal command. Now, if you see out here, you want to run the install Windows feature, you want to go and remove website. Now, these commands are coming from PowerShell. So you have to go into the PowerShell mode. So that's why, I don't know what the question is, but if you're saying that why that shell command is there, you have to change to PowerShell. Okay, please understand. Okay. Okay, right. So, okay, what is the difference between test and .test? Okay. So what is well, nothing. That one did not work. I thought that he is not referring the current directory. Nothing, Amit. I was just trying some hacks out there. Don't worry, it should work. Okay, let us continue, guys. Let us do like this. Let us try to install it, because let us try to run this. I hope this file is very clear. Right? Remember, the complication will increase when we try to install SQL Server, when we try to change IP addresses, when we try to change application pool. So we'll go through all that. So now here it is. I'll take this file. Let me take that file. Right? And so I'll make a copy of this file. This is the file, right? And I will just copy it inside. Just paste it here. Remember, the structure is all same. Okay. And remember, you can always run such kind of directory commands and so on, to make. Let me just, this is looking very shabby. So from this, so this one here runs this. Let me put some, let me make it a little bit readable. You don't need that import module. Huh? Okay. So here it is. From here starts second stage, and here starts the build stage, right? Okay. So remember here, just to iterate, in case you don't know the first build stage, it copies the CH project file, it does a .NET restore, it does a .NET publish, right? This .NET publish is then copied into this directory, right? MVC Core App, and then that directory is referred in the physical file path with running in the port 80. Now you can see here, I did not set the application pool. I did not set the application pool because it is .NET Core, right? Okay. So with all that, now let us try to run it. So now this will take a little bit of time, because remember that in this we are downloading .NET Runtime, we are downloading those things, right? So it can take a bit time, but let us understand it. MVC Core image. Let me delete this. So you can go to the Docker desktop and delete. Right. Now let us also try, when this installation is happening, let us try to understand what things are happening out here. You can see first thing, it says the system cannot find the file. Why? Because over here, he is asking for a credential. So we are not logged in at this moment to Docker Hub and so on. So that is fine. We are doing a local build. You can see first he is running the build and he is copying it. He is doing a .NET restore. And then after that, he will do a .NET publish. And that .NET publish will be published to the output directory. Please understand. Must be, when you run this in your computer, you can say run dir and you can see the output directory. Okay. So there it is. .NET restore is running, right? So this is done. So you can see here, this is the drive. This is the drive C Docker output, the MVC Core output, where the final output file is copied. Now you can see the second stage is running runtime, remember? And first thing, he changes from the command prompt to PowerShell. After that, you can see now he's trying to install the 4.5 feature inside this, right? Once that is, what is it? Run install Windows, something went wrong out there. Create element not found. Why? Let us check. Sad, isn't it? So this is, remember, this is the Windows hosting. Where is the error? Look at this. The error has come when it tries to install the Windows feature. Okay. So when it tries to install the Windows feature 3.5, 4.5, let us check where it is. Yeah, this one. What is wrong out here? Did I change anything here? I don't think so. This is a working file. Huh? If such kind of error comes, it becomes so difficult in the class. This is a working file. Let us read it. Create compute system is not found. Something has gone wrong. Let me run it once again. So sad. Let us see. Till then, guys, you can put down your questions if you have. You can remember it's failing over here when I'm trying to enable when I'm trying to enable or install the 4.5 feature. So I don't know why, what is wrong out here. Something is not right. This is where it is failing, 11 line. Now it ran. Don't know. Sometimes, this Docker is so weird. So you can see now, guys, it is installing the Windows feature. It is adding the Windows feature. It is enabling it. I'm not sure what happened previously. I think I was pressing enter like a monkey. So must be, it took some empty commands from me. Right. So there it is, installation successful. Now in this case, 4.7 is there. So I try to enable 4.5, but he has enabled 4.7. That is okay. Right. Now, after this, which command is running? Now, remember, after this, we are running the we are downloading the hosting bundler, right? Everyone is aware of hosting bundler. Can you please put down on the chat? Everyone is aware of hosting bundler? Yes. Right. Hosting bundler. Oh, no, come on. Right. ASP.NET hosting. So when you're strange how it is like, So actually, when you install .NET Core, right? When you install .NET Core and if you have ASP.NET 4.5, for the .NET Core to get connected to IIS, you have to install the hosting bundler, right? At least this was true for 3.core. I'm not sure for 6.core it is still valid. So hosting bundler, actually what it does is inside IIS, it actually adds a module, a HTTP handler. It adds, see, Kestrel understands .NET Core. IIS does not understand it. So that hosting bundler actually goes and adds a HTTP module by which the IIS can get configured as a front-end proxy. It can get configured as a front-end proxy. So you can see here, guys, that's the extra stage out here. I'm downloading this Windows hosting exe. And remember, my this is .NET Core. My it is 3.1. So I'm using the .NET Core Windows hosting, right? And that .NET Core Windows hosting. And then whenever this is the file name from the online, but when it downloads, I have saved it as hosting.exe. And you can see now in the next process, I'm running the hosting.exe. So that will actually go and install hosting bundler, right? Again, to clarify what is hosting bundler, just to clarify, see, we have Kestrel as the backend proxy, the backend server. Now, if you say you have Apache as the front-end server, then Apache needs to be configured to listen to Kestrel. In the same way, IIS, if it's a front-end server, then he has to be configured to listen to Kestrel. So for that, this hosting bundler is there. If you install it, it does all the configuration for you, right? Right. I hope everyone is clear about the Kestrel running as a proxy server, right, at the back. So that's why the IIS running as a proxy server or the Apache running as a proxy server, the proxy server has to be configured. Okay. So you can see now the hosting is getting installed. Yeah, it's a little bit, it takes time. I don't want to press enter, right? You can see here, I just showed a directory out here in middle to show you that the hosting exe is installed. I just wanted to show that. Okay. And now you can see run import web administration. This will actually go and install that IIS admin, that inet mgr, right? The UI. And also this web administration, what it does is it has a lot of IIS modules like create virtual directory, remove virtual directory, and so on, right? And once that is done, you can see when I install that IIS, right? You can see this is again so bad. You don't need all these modules, huh? So you should again try to create one more image actually and try to take the final output. Fine. So there it is, the local directory. Remember, I've just put directory in between so that I can see the output, it is getting copied or not, right? You can use directory. You can also use print statements, right, to display any kind of variables which you want to display. Fine. So there it is. MVC Core image is created. Image 1 is created. Now let us go and create an instance, right? So Docker build to build the image and Docker run to create the instance, right? So let me go and run a Docker run. Docker run. Okay, let's copy paste it. paste it. So remember what I've done is in this Docker and Kubernetes, I've given a Docker help text file. In this help text file, we have all the commands. Huh? I'll just go and run that on 8080 port. Let us see it runs or not. MVC Core image. So remember, this is the MVC Core image 1 and this is the instance 1. So we have the instance running. Look, you can see this is the image and this is the instance, right? Now, very quickly, just some important things, right? You can see this is the instance, and if you want to now go inside this instance, and if you want to go and do a directory, right? That day I talked about, that how you can do by using the command line. But if you want to do it from the Docker desktop, then what you can do is you can go here and you can say view details, or you can say open in terminal or view details. So let us go to view details out here, and you can see there is a terminal out here. So with this terminal, what happens is you can go inside that. Now you are inside the Docker directory out here, right? So if I say directory out here, you can see that hosting.exe is copied. Bad, isn't it? That's what I was saying. That's what is the concept of multi-staging. You don't want unnecessary things like hosting exe also getting copied and something else getting copied, right? So must be you would like to delete such kind of things. And you can see that Docker MVC Core app. So you can do a change directory, Docker MVC Core app, right? And you can go inside that and you can fire commands. So now you are actually inside. So you can see your final published thing out here, right? So you can go and you can go and fire the command prompt. Now remember, this is a command prompt. If you want to change it to PowerShell, you will say PowerShell. So now this will then change to PowerShell. Remember, a command prompt and Windows command prompt and PowerShell are different. You can see out here, this is the C drive and this is the PowerShell. In case you want to run this terminal from your host machine, you can go and say open in external terminal like this. You will actually come out here. This is the same thing. Only thing is now that you are firing it from your, like it. I will not say it is mapped to your local directory, but you are getting a feeling that you have control over the directory out there, right? And so this again over here also when you make PowerShell, it will go into PowerShell, right? So in case you want to go and peek inside the directories of the instance, you can go over here in the terminal and do it, right? And this is for the logs. In case if there are some errors, it will all come here. So good. Now let us go and run our MVC Core. Let us see it will run or not. Let me tell you, it will not run, right? It is not going to run, and we will see some things out here. So if you see here, and purposely I've done it, purposely I have kept the error. So you can see it is showing some internal server error, which close all tabs. Why can't it run in Chrome or take it? Sorry. So if you see, open the browser. So it is showing some internal server. So it'll say, no, like we want to see the error. We want to know what is happening, right? Now for that, right, one of the important things what you should be doing is that so how do we enable errors, guys? If you want to go and see the errors out there, I want to see the detailed messages in .NET. What do we do? Yes. You can see at this moment, it is not displaying the errors. So if you want to go and see the errors, yes. I'll come to the questions later on, guys. Now this is .NET. This is .NET. There is nothing Docker out here. If I want to go and show the errors out here in the web.config, I have to go and say, so very quickly, remember, in the web.config, you will say that HTTP errors, show it in a detailed way, right? In other words, if you say the error more detailed, remember, either you can go and you can log the errors like this also. You can say that if there are any errors, right, log it to a standard output, like log to a file, and this file will get created inside Docker only, right? So what I'll do is I'll copy this config file. At this moment, there is no web.config file. At this moment, there is no web.config file out there. So let us go and copy this web.config file, and then we will come to know what the errors are, right? So what I will do is I will remove this handlers for now. Let me do it over there. Okay. So, tick, tick, tick. So here, what can I? So I'll just copy it from here. I'll copy this config file and I'll just put it out there. Okay. If I do that, then the errors will start flashing up in my log files. The errors will start flashing up everywhere, right? So I'm going to go and paste this config file out here, web.config file. Right, I've just pasted it out there. Right now, right. Let us go and create the image again. Right. Remember, guys, you will get a little bit fed up out here because multiple times I'm going to go and create it. Now, one of the things you can say me that, okay, you have access to the C drive. Why don't you just put a config file out there? Yeah, we can do that. We'll see that in the next lecture, not now, right? I mean, like one of the questions which you can ask me is that you already have a config file, can't you do a copy or something and paste it out there? You can. Yes, you can. But for now, let me build this because I think this ASP.NET Core module, that handler, right, is a problem. So let me do a build out here. Okay. Okay. So guys, what I'm doing now, I put that web.config file and let me do the whole build and let me again run it. And then we'll see a detailed error, what it is showing, and we'll fix it, right? But remember, ASP.NET Core application was running. Please note, whatever we did out there, I mean, like as a .NET developer, you would have understood that this 500 runtime means that ASP.NET is running, but there is some error out there, right? So till then, this install, right? Let me go and answer some questions out there, and then I will come back to the output. Yes, I can do that. Money, don't worry, we'll do that. Okay. So let me start from the top. Can you explain reverse proxy? Okay, let me explain that. Can you explain reverse proxy? I see 3 people have asked me, can you explain reverse proxy? What is that bundler doing out there? See what happens, right? In ASP.NET Core, let's try to understand. And so here is your ASP.NET Core code or application, DLLs, right? In this, you have startup.cs file. It has those add services, add this, do this, run this, right? This all is understood by this thing called as Kestrel. This Kestrel is a web server which understands, how to run ASP.NET and how to take the output and show it, right? But this Kestrel is not a full-blown server. This only runs ASP.NET Core. So any request which will come, anyone who sends a request out here, right, will send to Kestrel. Kestrel will run it and give the output to it, right? Now, definitely as a person who is doing serious application development, they will not use this Kestrel as a front-end server. As a front-end server, you would like to use Apache, or you would like to use IIS, right, or Nginx, or so on. Now, if you want to do that, right, there should be a way which says that inside this, first thing, there should be a way, that this IIS and Kestrel should be able to talk to each other, right? So this is called as a reverse proxy architecture, where the Kestrel is the backend server. This is of Microsoft, right? You can't change this. And this is your front-end server. So here, reverse proxy means you will send a message to him and he will answer to you, and that will go to the end user, right? So in order to configure this, we install that hosting bundler in case of IIS. In case of Apache, you have to go and do it in that config file. I had done it long time back. Go and please see my video. In case of Nginx also, you have to do something, right? So in case of IIS, you have to just install the hosting bundler. It will automatically do it for you, right? So that is the answer. Let me see back here. Let's keep checking. You can see now, good, we are getting errors. When we get such kind of an error, now this error, try to understand it. Try to read and understand it. Okay, good. Looks like my web.config file is not good out here. And let us see what it says. He says, change the ASP.NET Core module to ASP.NET Core V2. What the hell? So he's saying me that what it's saying is that Remember, these are HTTP modules. HTTP modules. These are HTTP modules. So he's saying that this name is somewhere wrong. So can it change to V2? Fine, I'll do that. Look at this error. Read your errors very carefully. Right? Remember, errors can change very drastically. I'm here to make you understand the concept. Purposely, I've taken a backend 3.1. I did not take 6.0 because I'm sure that 6.0 would be more easier, or the new versions of .NET Core. And in the next class, I'll be taking ASP.NET Web Forms and MVC 5. So that would be more complex, right? So please try to read the errors. Every error will change depending on what runtime you have selected. You can see, how did I guess it here? Process hosting is not supported for ASP.NET Core module. Change the ASP.NET Core module to at least ASP.NET Core module V2. So looks like there was a version 2 of the HTTP module, and I've changed it, right? Let us see now. I've saved the file. Okay. And let us try to run it. Chalo, no problem. Okay, let us go with our questions back again, right? Okay. So is the reverse proxy understood? Yes. Mahi, and there are 3-4 people, right? The bundler, Hitesh, did you get the bundler one? Why we are installing the bundler? Let me know. I can see the questions out there. Mahi, let me know. Yes, Okay, right. Okay, now let's take this question from Piyush. I'm sure these installation will become very easy as time will go ahead. Believe me. Okay. I mean, like if I see Docker 3 years back for Windows, impossible it was. And now, like, at least I can run it, right? Suppose we have multiple projects in one solution, which needs to run parallelly. How can we give instruction Docker file to run each one of them? Right. So actually, I think that happens by default in the solution only. We don't have to worry about it. See what happens. Like, in your, like when you do a build here, it uses MS build. It uses MS build. Please read about MS build. So the question is, let me try to understand the question. What if I have multiple projects here? Docker MVC Core App, Docker MVC Core App UI, and so on, right? So I want to first run UI, the backend layer repository must be, and then you don't have to worry about it because that sequence is already mentioned in the SLN file. So solution file knows this by looking at, like even when we do a build here, we don't worry about anything, right? We just say build solution. That's it. We just say build solution. So this same MS build, this whole magic is done by MS build. So over there, we are using MS build. So MS build will take care of it. You don't have to worry. Just keep a solution file. If you don't keep a solution file, then it's a problem, right? Did that answer your question, Piyush? We don't have to worry about it. That is taken care by the solution file, right? Okay, how to compact the image size? I will also, I need to check that, Bhavnesh. Remember, guys, I'm not a Docker expert. Yeah, fine. So here it is. It has surpassed the build. So that means that is running. Very good, right? It has surpassed the build and it is moving ahead, right? The goal here was, what I should have done? I should have not installed 4.5. One mistake which I did, because if you don't enable 4.5, it will still show you 500 internal server error. And I should have shown you the error, but fine, I did not disable it. So try to do that. Try to disable ASP.NET 4.5, see how errors are, try to write it to a STLog file and try to see how you can see from the outside instance, right? And so on. So that it is installing hosting exe, and then we'll see it. Okay, let us go and see what else, right? Okay, let's take this question. Very nice question. Let's take it, guys. I'm taking up the questions parallelly. Right. Okay, very good question this is. And let me take this. Sir, can we add testing stage in Docker file? How many people agree that we should add a testing stage here? How many people agree? Like I added a build stage. Should we add testing? And if not, why not? Good. Ravindra said no. Why not? We added build. Absolutely no. Absolutely no. Answer is no. But why not? Because the goal of adding build, yes, it should be a part of pipeline. Absolutely. Right. All right. Absolutely. So here, just answering that question. See, guys, why are we adding build? You have to understand it. right? We are adding build because we don't know which Docker version we are going to go and run on. For example, if you have a Docker Linux, then we want to just make sure the build is created as per Docker Linux. Not only that, inside Windows also, Windows 2012 servers build can be very different from an optimized build, can be very different from Windows Server 2019, or must be from Windows 2022. A x64 build can be very different from a 32-bit build. So the point is, we have no idea in what kind of Docker environment we are going to run. So that's why we do a build. Remember, when you do a build here like this, we have this CLR, common language runtime. We have inside .NET, if you've done the .NET fundamentals, we have the JIT, just in time. Why do we have a JIT? The JIT, what it does is, it actually makes sure that, depending on the environment, it creates an optimized build. So that's why the build here is not to go and create a pipeline. The build here is just to make sure that the build is as per that Docker environment, right? So the testing and etc., you should do it outside the Docker. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, okay, let us go and see again. Once again, let's keep seeing this. What happened here? I have to press enter, huh? Okay. You know why that happens? If you press enter, suddenly it comes up. Especially in Windows, you would see something is stopped out there. You press enter and suddenly it comes up, right? Let me know if anyone knows that why Windows operating system does that. So you can see now, I'm saying Docker run. I have ran it. Let us see, guys, if our application is running. I will come to questions, right? Containers, there it is. I'm still expecting errors because, that ASP.NET Core V2 did not go right. कुछ तो गड़बड़ हो गया उधर. That ASP.NET Core V2, there it is. So while compiling, he said me, "Bhai, don't add ASP.NET module, add V2." Okay. Now when I added V2 in the runtime, it is telling me, "Arey bhai, don't add V2." So something is wrong out here. I'll correct that, right? But the point is now I can see the error. Why I'm showing here, I know now what my error is. So remember, guys, just make sure that you enable your log files and so on, right? So this I need to check, guys. Something is wrong out here. Okay. So, but I hope everybody understands that this is running, huh? It is just that my configuration is not right. Okay. Okay. Absolutely. Very good. Just I'll flash Manish's message out there. One is my cursor is there, that is one part, but also try to understand this Windows pump message. Huh? What happens is this Windows operating system, it works like a pump. So you had a cursor highlighted and then when you said enter, it started running. That is one. Second, what happens now, this Windows operating system works in kind of a queue and a pump. So when something happens out there, right, he has to pump that message back to that UI, right? Now, what is happening? Your UI is busy, like my cursor is out there. So Windows does not pump that message because it says something is busy out there, right? So that's why, while I press afterwards, when I press enter, then Windows understands, okay, like I have to now pump something out, right? Okay. Okay, guys. So I think that brings us to the end of the session. Let me see if I can, I can take some more questions, right? Is there a way to pass any argument to an image file? Absolutely, I'll show that. This is a good question from Mohit here. See, more than the image, one is that yes to the image, but I would rather say, so good question. Let me take this. Yes, you can create variables. So here it is. Is there a way to pass an argument to the image file saying that don't install 4.5, install this, change the working directory name? So what you can do is that in the image, you can do it. When you create the instance, at that time, you will pass the variable. So we'll see that in the next class. So let me put this in my document. A very good input this is. How can we make our image configurable, right? In short, how can we make our image configurable? So that in the next class, we don't forget it, or else. Let me put this. I'll not put it here, but I'll just put it here. Huh? I'll put it in the later one, because many people say that when you're taking a class, right, follow the syllabus. Don't start taking something new here. So what I'll do this, I'll just say to do, right? How to make Docker configurable. I've taken that question. We'll see that. How to make Docker configurable. How to control directly how to create a map directory, right? How to control the directory from the host machine. This is also with the next class we'll have a look, right? Okay, guys, I can see that there are many more questions out there, but I think let us stop out here. So I hope that this lesson was useful. So in this lesson, we did two things today, right? The first thing what we did is we actually revised that multi-stage build because I felt it was necessary, right? And then we looked into the Docker file, right? And we did ASP.NET Core hosting. We tried that. I know that there is an error. We have to fix that error. Remember that error is coming from my application. It has nothing to do with Docker. Okay. So we installed IIS. We enabled ASP.NET 4.5. We installed the hosting bundler. We built that application. We passed that build into a folder. We told IIS that you have to go and create a virtual directory. And we also saw how to show the errors as well, right? So I hope that this lesson was useful. What is that error, sir? Let me explain that error, guys. Okay. Okay, that's a question here. What is that error, right? Okay, let me explain this error. Look at this, right? I exactly know what this error is, right? ASP.NET Core V2 is not proper, right? If you go and if you see this, it's saying install ASP.NET if you have a manage handler and so on, right? See, what happens is HTTP handlers. I don't know if someone is from old school out here, you would understand what is HTTP handlers. Inside IIS, we have HTTP handlers. And if these HTTP handlers are not right, then IIS does not know what happens. So that ASP.NET module is a HTTP handler. See, what happens is, so this is your IIS, right? From here, the user is sending request, right? And the IIS goes and interacts at the back. Now, he does not know. The IIS can also run Java. I don't know if you know, many people know that. He can also run classic ASP. He can also run PHP. Why not? He can also run CGI Perl. But the IIS does not know CGI Perl. So what they do is this, what we do out here is that we tell to the IIS that, okay, we will give you a handler. We will give you an HTTP handler out here, an HTTP handler. And this HTTP handler will help you to understand how the CGI output is coming. It will help you to understand .NET Core. Now, not .NET Core, it will be Kestrel. Kestrel will talk to .NET Core, but this handler actually helps you to understand it, right? Now, what happens is, by default, when I added the app web.config file over here, when I added this web.config file, it gave me ASP.NET Core module. I mean, like if you see this, for example, if you look at this, handlers, it is handlers, right? So if I delete this web config file, by default, what it did is, right? Just delete this. I'm sorry if anyone is from Java out here. I'm so sorry if you're not understanding it. I'm extremely sorry for that. I wish that I can take Java as well. So if you add a web.config file like this, by default, what he does is, depending on, like I have taken 3.1, he put here ASP.NET Core. So I took this and I went ahead. Now, what must have happened is, this is 3.1. For 3.1, this module handler is not right. For 3.1, this hosting bundler is not right. Remember my MVC core, I'm trying to make you understand, what the error is. MVC core 3.1 needs some other module handler. Remember my application here, this one here is properties. It is 3.1. Let me just show you. I purposely taken 3.1. First thing, let me agree that I'm lazy. I did not upgrade my computer. 3.1, right? Now for 3.1, the module handler is something else, I guess. It is not this. I need to install .NET Core 2.1 or something. I feel so. It's just my gut feeling. I can be wrong. So if you see here, ASP.NET hosting bundler for .NET Core 3.1 is something different, I guess. So .NET Core hosting bundler for 3.1. Download .NET Core. So you can see here, if you see here, 3.1. For this, the hosting bundler, you can see this is the hosting bundle. And you can see the hosting bundle is something else. Look at this. It is wrong, actually. If you see, it is .NET 3.1. Look at this. You can see that name. Look at down. It is So I think my hosting bundler name is wrong. So if I change this URL out here, this one, if I change to that, let me agree that shamelessly I copied from internet, right? If I change this to 3.1, I think it will run, right? So I hope that clarifies, what my error is. So because remember I said, right, this configuration is done by whom? By the bundler. Now, if your bundler is wrong, then this HTTP module is wrong. It has installed something else. And that's where the confusion is, right? So I think if I'll try that after this, to change that HTTP, it should pretty much work, right? I hope that answered your question. Right. Did we get Manish? What the question is? Manish, and I can say Rajesh, yeah. Okay, guys. Any way to check if the image is good and not vulnerable? Very good point Mohit has made. You install an image, and then what if some viruses get installed out there? So Mohit must be in one of the further. Let us try to answer this. Very good question, because security is prime. I'll put it in the to-do list. My to-do list is increasing, right? Security checks. So thank you very much. Thanks a lot.